Welcome here to a very special broadcast of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora from inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. Heritage Hill, of course, is here with you out in Pompey at Heritage Hill Brew House on Sweet Road out in the rolling hills of central and upstate New York. You'll also find Heritage Hill right down the road from CNS at Heritage Hill North, couple minutes from CNS High School, where Mike Washington Jr. spent his time. And so the Northstars down the street from Heritage Hill North on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, New York. And of course, Heritage Hill North, the home of our monthly on-site live broadcasts with the Cicero-North Syracuse Northstars. I'm here in the Heritage Hill Studios today with Mike Washington Jr., who is no stranger to the show. He's been with me in studio over the years, from CNS to UB, now to New Mexico State. Yes, and of course, we've been on the phone as well. So good to see you again, man.
Good to see you too.
Appreciate you. I don't know how you all feel about Mike's new look here, but I said you look like a 30-year-old man right now. What happened out in UB? You're lifting, you got rocking all that stuff?
Yeah, rocking the cornrows. Just
something different.
Yeah, something different.
So how do you feel about the new look? Is this something that's going to stay at New Mexico State, or what do you think?
Definitely. I like the cornrows. It gives me a mature look. Definitely like it. I feel like it fits my face also. So
who did them? Who do you have a stylist? Did you do it? Did you have somebody help you style it?
No, I have a hairstylist out in Buffalo. She does my hair like every other week.
So what's going to happen now that you're going out to New Mexico State?
I have to find a new one, unfortunately.
So can we shout her out? She's good at the job, obviously. So.
Yeah, her name is her IG name, what she runs is B the brand LLC. She does she can do anybody hair, braids, 2-strand twists. She does a lot. So yeah, she's pretty dope.
Yeah, and so we got the facial hair in. We got the cornrows in. So this is what we're doing now. This is the Mike Washington look now.
Yes, sir.
All right, fair enough. So bring me into, we got a new look and we got a new home for you as well with the New Mexico State Aggies. Why New Mexico State?
Honestly, just going there, it felt like home. I'm an up north boy, so, scenery was, really a big thing, when I went out there, just seeing mountains and I just never seen that before. But aside from scenery and those things of that nature, the coaching staff and the running back coach there, he was just it's a difference between somebody wanting you for depth reasons and somebody wanting you to be that guy, and that was that's what the running back coach wanted, and that's what the head coach wanted. So it was definitely an opportunity that I felt like I couldn't pass up. And yeah, I'm just really ready to take on this next chapter, with this team. I'm excited.
New Mexico State at a time was independent, and now in Conference USA. What does that mean to you to see the move that they've made to challenge themselves within the Conference USA? Did that have anything to do with it, seeing this institution make that jump to the Conference USA?
Well, yeah, if you look at, where I was before and, where I'm going now, the Conference USA is that's a good conference to play in. They had, I believe they had, a couple rough seasons, and then, last season or the past 2 seasons, they've went, back-to-back bowl and won both of them. So just looking at that and then looking at their record, last season, they're a championship caliber team, and, they have all of their starting O-line coming back. It's a lot of things that, I looked at that was like, okay, this is like a no-brainer for me. And then not only that, just playing on a big stage. You see Liberty, they went, they're a top 25 team. And they also went, I believe, 12-0, 13-1. They lost to Oregon, but that's a playoff caliber team. And New Mexico State, they played that team in a conference championship. And lost by a couple touchdowns, but that's a stage that I'm ready to play on, the stage that I want to play on. Just catching attention and in the eyes of many people around the world. On a big stage is something that I'm definitely ready for.
Yeah, in Conference USA, you and I were talking about this off the air. They've gone through so many iterations of what the conference is, because they've been poached, right? The American getting poached by different conferences, and then the American goes to the Conference USA, and then Conference USA has to rebuild, and they've done consistent rebuilds over the last decade plus. And we know that here in by 2025, the conference is going to expand to add Kennesaw State and Delaware. We also know that Missouri State is now going to be joining Conference USA. So, I mean, we're here in 2024. You got a couple seasons of eligibility. What does it mean to you to see Conference USA have the teams that it has? And for those that don't know, I'll make mention of these teams. The Liberty Flames, of course, New Mexico State Aggies that you're going to be a part of. Also Jacksonville State Gamecocks, the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers, the Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders, the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs, the Sam Houston Bearcats, as well as the UTEP Miners and the Florida International Panthers. So seeing the conferences that, then Kennesaw State's coming in, Delaware's coming in, Missouri State's coming in. What does that mean to you to know that Conference USA is expanding, they're growing, and you're going to have some of this competition while you're there?
Yeah, that's actually what I was gonna say. I look at it as an opportunity to go against better competitors. Obviously they're moving up from FCS level to FBS Conference USA level, so they have to be somewhat of a good team. So I just look at it as an opportunity to go against more competitors and play for a conference championship.
Yeah, and seeing this move up, like you said, from FCS Division I AA to FBS Division I-A. I mean, these are teams that we know about. When we think about the Delaware Blue Hens, you think about Joe Flacco. I think about my buddy who was his kicker, John Stryevsky there. So there's something to be said about the talent that's coming in into Conference USA. You're leaving the MAC. What did you think about the competition in the MAC? I mean, they held strong at the amount of teams that they had. I talked to MAC Commissioner Dr. John Steinbrecher multiple times in what we call Commissioner Corner. And when I spoke with him about the MAC and about what's in the Mid-American, it was the reality that this conference was most consistent during realignment. They didn't lose anybody. They didn't gain anybody. They stayed at 12. They stayed on their two divisions of the East and West. And so we saw you being with the Buffalo Bulls in the East, with Miami of Ohio, with Bowling Green, Akron, and Kent State in the West, Toledo, Northern Illinois, Eastern Michigan, Western Michigan, Ball State, and Central Michigan. Now we know they're adding UMass, so we know they're getting a 13th. This is their first addition or subtraction in a very long time of this consistency of their membership. What was your thought about the level of competition you experienced as a member of the Buffalo Bulls in the Mid-American?
Well, D1 is D1, at the end of the day. So the competition is high regardless. Coming from CNS, times, people may be more athletic, or just high school in general. You if you're that guy, you may be more athletic than, everybody else on the field, so transitioning from that high school mindset where, I could outrun this guy, or I could do an easy move and he'll fall for it. Now it's like you really have to, work on your tool belt, as my old running back coach will call it. Work on your tool belt and really defining your craft in terms of a better or a sharper spin move, or a better jump cut. Really honing in on not just relying on your athletic ability. Understanding that you have the athletic ability to make somebody miss, but also understanding that you're not the fastest guy on the field. It's not going to always be that. One thing that I was able to see quickly that was, you may be faster than somebody, but, laterally, you got linebackers that are just as fast. So, I would say like that was like the big difference, really when it came from, the high school transition to, college.
And when we look back at your time in Buffalo, and we look back at a few seasons, 2021, 23 carries. You're out there a little bit early on in your career, 132 yards, 5.7 yards a carry. I want to stick on 2021. Your first experience of college football, you're in FBS, you're in Division 1A. And like you said, certain things that might have worked before didn't necessarily work. When you learn about the growth and how everybody's good, regardless of conference, you're going to have competition. But in the amount of carries you had, 23, you still averaged almost 6 yards a carry. You were more than halfway to getting to a first down as a quote-unquote rookie in college football. So bring me into that and why you were so successful in the amount of time that you were on the field and in the limited carries you had. You were bringing us 5.7 yards a carry on average.
It really was confidence. Honestly, I just had a unbelievable amount of confidence. It definitely was things that I felt like I needed to work on. Like my power wasn't there. I wasn't running people over. Like if you watch some of my film, it was one game where I was wearing a towel and I got tackled by somebody, grabbed my towel and they got the tackle. So like it was a lot of stuff like that I just didn't have when it came to my freshman season. But I would say that confidence definitely played a role, and just trusting in my ability, it definitely played a role in having that 23 carries and 132 yards season for my freshman debut.
Your first ever college football touchdown came against Bowling Green. You only had one carry in that game, and it was a 14-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
So bring me into that memorable time for you on October 30th, right before Halloween in 2021.
It was definitely a bittersweet feeling. We were losing that game. Nobody had scored, and I just remember being on the sideline. I was super cold. It was raining outside, and I was just like, yo, like we got to do something, Yeah. So they ended up putting me in the game, and that first carry that they give me, I scored. Right, so I'm super hyped. My first touchdown. I'm just, really just grateful to experience that. Because a lot of people, they don't get to experience that their first year or really ever. So being able to experience that was like, I was able to see, a blessing. And then the reason why I say it's a bittersweet feeling was because, I was the first person to score, and then I wasn't put in the game after. So it was just like it was. I don't know. It was just a weird feeling. It was like, dang, like did I do something wrong? Like I don't know. It was just. But I was just definitely was happy for myself and just happy for how far I've come, and really was just a testimony, honestly, something that I was definitely grateful for.
Yeah, I mean it was a shootout too. It was 56-44. So I think it's fair for me to say if you kept Mike Washington Jr. in, maybe you get another touchdown. But the irony is the next season in 2022, the only time that we've seen you get to and surpass 100 yards in a game rushing was also against Bowling Green.
Yeah.
And so in 2022, in your second season at UB, we saw you on the road at Bowling Green, also in October. It was October 8th of 2022. And which is my dog up in heaven, Shady's birthday. So shout out to what you did on that day.
Rest in peace.
So thank you. So on Shady's birthday, the team wins 38-7. You have 16 carries, 155 yards, 9.7 yards per carry. So almost averaging a first down per carry and 2 touchdowns. Bring me into that game where you have another monumental moment. You get your first touchdown ever in college football, and it's against Bowling Green in 2021. You get your first 100-yard rushing game against Bowling Green in your second season in college football. And like I said, 155 yards, almost 10 yards a carry, and 2 touchdowns on the ground.
Yeah, so that was, I think that was the most carries I had, leading up to that game. But that wasn't something that I was expecting at all. Some people, like you listen to a lot of, motivational speakers, they don't go into the game saying, oh, I'm going to drop this much, I'm going to do this. They just, I'm just going to play the way I play. And, whatever happens. And that's how I was going about it. Like, yeah, I wanted to, win the game and do this, but I wasn't like, oh, I'm about to rush for 155 yards. It was more so, okay, what am I looking at before I get the ball? and just executing my assignment, executing, the play. And, fortunately, I ended up with, 155 yards that game. It was a pretty dope experience and definitely something definitely to remember.
You talk about, obviously, you don't go into a game saying, I'm going to get this many yards, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. How do you systematically chip away when you're looking at a defense and you're there in the backfield and you're just looking at getting a first down and another first down, scoring, getting into the end zone? How do you put all the individual stuff away and just look at the game itself and say, on this play, I need 4 yards. On this play, we got to get a first down. On this play, we got to do this. Because you're always looking to get a touchdown. You're always looking to, every play you want to break away and score. Every play you want to at least get the first down. You want to get down the field. But how do you systematically chip away and focus on the individual task and not get caught up in, Mike Washington Jr. stats?
So, obviously, so I wouldn't say obviously, but, it starts off in practice, I would say. It's a game plan that we have. And this is what I'm pretty sure every team. It's a game plan that we have, and plays that we have that we know would work on that defense, for that week. So it's literally, we run the play, 1,000 times, so when I get in the game, it's like, okay, this is my favorite play. I have a favorite play that I have every week, Yeah. So once my favorite play is like, all right, yeah, I'm super excited. But when if we talk about like individualizing, like you said, system, like looking at, the ins and out of the defense and all that, how I start off is really, my alignment with the quarterback, because your alignment changes every play, based on if it's a pass or a run, pass protecting, or you have a free release, route. So I start off with that, understanding my assignment, and then I will go into, what front the defense is, because that'll tell me where the holes is going to hit. Like, a lot of people don't understand that, but that's, like, the mind of a great running back is if understand the defense in the front, who's blitzing, who isn't blitzing. Like, a lot of those things matter because, the holes within the defense, they move like that when you get the ball. So that's just a basis. I don't really want to get too much into it because I could talk all day about it, but that's pretty much the basis of, what I'm looking at before I get the ball, when I'm lining up, and before the ball snaps.
And when you talk about, knowing different things and knowing different plays and where certain things are going to be, in your second season in college football, also at the University of Buffalo, in the same season we're just talking about that Bowling Green 155-yard rushing game, we look ahead to a game against Ohio on the road at Ohio against the Bobcats. It was your first receiving touchdown game. So you caught 2 passes. One of them is for a touchdown. Bring me into that moment, because you had not had a single reception in the 3 games you played as a rookie in college football. And here we are looking after that Bowling Green game, 3 games after, you get your first receiving touchdown. And when we talk about the NFL, they're always looking at things beyond, can you run, can you hit the hole, can you do this and that? Yeah, all that's important. But what I look at when I'm thinking about a running back and threading the needle and actually getting into the NFL and getting on a 53-man roster, can you pass protect and can you catch out of the backfield? So bring me into that game when you had your first receiving touchdown as a running back.
Well, we catch every day in practice. We have about, I'm trying to think, back then we had at least 17 to 20 periods a day. And basically what a period is it's like a block. How, it's a block in each period you do a different thing. So like you do run game install, pass game install. Like that's how it works in practice. So pass game we would do 7-on-7 against the defense. And literally that's all we work on. Like in the back we would get the ball a lot. Like that season, we got the ball, the backs got the ball a lot. We ran a lot of swing routes, a lot of swing passes. So it definitely felt like secondhand nature when it came to, catching the ball. It just felt like, everything that we did in practice, catching the ball, scoring a touchdown. So it really wasn't anything, new to me or crazy, because that's what we do in practice. So, yeah.
How would you say the evolution of you being able to catch out of the backfield as well as your pass protection to
Mm-hmm.
pick up that extra defender that's trying to get to the quarterback? We got all the
Mm-hmm.
offensive linemen doing what they're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
We see a lot of times a quarterback will go down because a running back did not do
Pass
what they
protect.
needed to do, and pass protect there. So
Yeah.
where is your pass protection
Mm-hmm.
at in being that extra line of defense for your quarterback? And
Mm-hmm.
how do you feel about catching out of the backfield as well?
Well, my first 2 years, it wasn't. I was able to catch out the backfield, but my pass protection, like I never really, it wasn't as advanced as it is now, and that's only because of high school. We really didn't. We threw the ball a lot, but we ran the ball more than we threw.
Yeah.
So there wasn't really times where we practice on making sure my hands are tight and I'm striking. You know what I mean? Like that's something that we also always practice on. That's something that we do every day, striking. Um, Striking the bag with our hands. It seemed like it's something that a lineman would do or a D lineman would do, but the running backs, just to make sure that we are able to pass protect, we are able to take up the slack, and get to the blitzer. That's something that we did. So for my first 2 years, like I couldn't block a blitzer for anything. Like they could put the easiest swim move on me and I'll just completely miss. And it wasn't until my last year that I was with them where I was able to be more aggressive and take up the slack and be able to take a bull rusher and really be able to put them on their butt instead of them putting me on my butt. So yeah, definitely, the my last year there was where I felt like I was the most advanced when it came to being able to read a defense and pick up a blitz and see what a blitz is coming.
Where do you credit that, and who do you credit that with? Is there anybody on the coaching staff, or
Mm-hmm.
when you talk about knowing where people are going to be, knowing the techniques you have to have, knowing the
Mm-hmm.
things you need to do, but then watching the film to pick up the
Mm-hmm.
different plays and stuff that you're breaking down and talking with me about
Mm-hmm.
here this morning? Who do you credit with helping you be a student of the game technique wise
Mm-hmm.
as well as film study?
Uh, Technique wise and film study, I will go with my running back coach where I had the most yards with. He was Coach Gregory Knox. He was a crazy coach, but he definitely helped me when it came to film watching and being able to study the game, read the defense, and then somebody who I felt like took my game to a next level, confidence wise, helping me understand like, okay, you are a 220 plus back. Like this is something that you could do and it should be easy for you. That's where, I felt like my last year, Coach Applewhite, he was the last running back coach that I had. He really helped me when it came to understanding, like, okay, if you watch film, like, you'll be 10 times better. You know what I mean? And if you use your God gifted ability of being, 6'2", 220 pounds, you should be able to pick up a blitz easily. You should be able to pick up a bull rusher without, cutting him. That's going at his legs. Like those are things that should be easier for you because you have the muscle, you have the power to do that.
And in your second season in 2022, you got to play in your first ever bowl game,
Yeah.
and the team won.
Mm-hmm.
The University of Buffalo defeated Georgia Southern in a close game, 23-21. Bring me into playing in your first ever postseason in college football.
It was pretty dope, honestly. I always, everybody always talked about, going to a bowl game and, I never really was able to experience that, my first year. So my second year, we won one game and then I believe we went on a winning streak, that second season. And we were at 5 and then we had like a game against Akron that got pushed back weeks because of the snowstorm. They had a real bad snowstorm that year in Buffalo.
Yeah.
So we played that team, and that was a grit clinching game. But we were able to solidify that game and get the 6th win to play in a bowl game, and it was just a dope experience, honestly. Being in a hotel with the guys and being catered to. It was just really dope. Something that I definitely want to experience. My last 2 years of eligibility because it was a fun experience.
Well, and that's the thing that I think a lot of people don't get when they talk about how many bowl games there are,
Mm-hmm.
and I've talked about it in different angles of it, but they don't understand that as a student athlete, well, and for the school, there's more practices. You can get young guys in, so you can get to see guys that transferred in and used to have to sit out. They could play in those games. Now you don't have that because of the transfer portal. But you look at the future, you get an extra bunch of weeks of practice. So it's good for you. It's good for the coaches. It's good for the future. There's money that goes to the school. You get like gift bags and different things, like you said, being catered to. What did the Camellia Bowl do? Like what were some of the activities or some of the things that they gave the team?
We were able to see a lot of historical sites. I know Rosa Parks was one of them. We went to a Black Historical Museum also. What else did we do? We were able to see. What else did we do? I know we went to. It's kind of a blur. It was 2 years ago, but it was a lot of things that we did. It was going to the museums, and then really what I liked was just spending time with the guys. It was pretty dope. Being in a hotel. Not only that, just exploring. The city that we was in, walking around. It was cold, but we still enjoyed ourselves and found ways to enjoy ourselves after. I believe we stayed there for a week, so it was a dope experience.
And what city were you in?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I can't remember. I can't remember.
Because I'm thinking about, because there's so many bowl games.
Yeah.
And the Camellia Bowl, just to let everybody know here, its location in Montgomery, Alabama.
Yeah, Montgomery.
So that's when you were in Alabama, yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to experience that because that makes sense with the South and the history and all that stuff. Now, I don't know if you know this, but on the staff at Chauncey Schism, he was a Syracuse guy. Played really? DB at Syracuse. So Chauncey and I are actually friends. And when Chauncey came to the spring game to visit Syracuse, I had the opportunity to sit with him. So what can you say about Coach Chauncey?
Definitely a pretty dope dude. I just recently found out that he took a job in the NFL. So like I'm definitely excited and happy for him because you was just able to tell he was just one of those guys where he's just strictly about business.
Yeah.
Like he could sit and joke around with you, but when it came to getting a work in, he was strictly about getting a work in.
And and for you, that final season that you had, when we look back to this past season of 2023, we saw your carries go to 90. And you had over 300 yards, got in the end zone a couple times. In all 3 seasons that you've been playing college football, no matter how many carries you have, you've never averaged under 4 yards a carry. And when we look at it, we have 5.7, 4.2, 4.0. When you look at what you've done and we look at that last season of 2023, we talked about 2021 and 2022. What did last season teach you? What did you take away from last season specifically to go a little bit deeper into it? And then overall, what does it mean to you to average no less than 4 yards a carry?
So, the 2023 season was very indifferent when it came to, just playing. I started the first 4 or 5 games, which was something that was big because I never started in college at all, so that was something that was, big and I was really, blessed and thankful for that. I ended up getting hurt. I believe I twisted my ankle and I was out for about a week and a half, so I missed 1 game. And, it's just how college works, something that I just had to accept was, the person who was under me basically taking my spot, and it was, at first it was like, dang, like I was starting the first 4 or 5 games. Why? I used to ask my coach, like, is there anything that I have to do, blah, blah, blah. And I just had to basically accept the fact that, next man up, and a lot of coaches just have that mentality. And it's not to throw shade on anybody. We had a deep running back room we had some dogs in our running back room. So, I understood it, that's why my carries, they, you seen a plummet down, to 90 carries that season. But, just that season taught me a lot, really, just to, stay the course, you know, whether I like, you know, the outcome of anything or not, at the end of the day, I still have to stay the course and, you know, when I get the chance to get in, be able to, you know, showcase my skills and my abilities no matter what, and not letting, you know, the circumstances that I may be in, to really reflect on me, because it's easy, you know, being in the game and seeing on TV, you know, the camera could go to your face at any moment, you know, so people could see if you're frowning or you're, you know, cussing or you're, you know, whatever, you know, they could see that, you know, so just being able to really, you know, just stay poised, honestly, stay poised. That's what the season taught me. And then, you know, really, when it came to averaging 4 yards of carries, for the past, you know, 3 seasons, that's really just a testimony to, you know, the running back coaches that I've had, you know, and them just, you know, helping me out and just helping me work on that toolbox that, you know, I was telling you about earlier. Something that really helped. Is really just a testimony to that.
Yeah, you know, and you've had to go through adversity. Mm-hmm. You've had to go through, I'm here, I'm practicing, am I doing anything wrong because I don't think I am? Mm-hmm. And then you've gone through moments where you've had to humble yourself and say, okay, I did this wrong, I do have to fix this. Mm-hmm. What have been the biggest learning lessons at UB that you've had to guide you through adversity with knowledge and wisdom? Because people hit adversity and they can just get pissed off, right? Mm-hmm. Like you said, the camera can come on to you at any given time, and the reason why some people feel some kind of way about Stephon Diggs or Plaxico Burress or some of those guys, Antonio Brown out there, is because when the camera was on them, you saw certain things. Johnny Manziel, you saw how they acted. Mm-hmm. So for you, going through the adversity inside of these last 3 seasons, what knowledge and wisdom did you gain from those moments, and how did you use them in a positive way instead of just getting upset?
Mm-hmm. So my thing was really changing my perception and perspective on everything. Being able to just switch it like that, you know, because I feel like I just had to.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't really understand what a lot of, you know, college athletes go through. It takes a lot, you know, mental wise. It's a huge mental toll, you know, on that athlete, you know, especially when you have things that may be going on back home, you know, things with schoolwork, you know, relationships, if you're in a relationship, and then on top of that, on the field, you know, stressors, you know, it could be as easy as a coach, you know, yelling at you or, you know, whatever, getting on you about something, and then it can mess up your whole day. Yeah. So something that, you know, I learned to do is really not let anything, you know, football wise, or try to not, I've gotten better on, you know, trying to not let anything football-wise reflect on my overall emotion, you know, and it's definitely, I would definitely, you know, say to any athlete that's coming up, or, you know, high school, transitioning from high school to college, or transitioning from middle school to high school, I would definitely say, you know, not let anything, you know, that's on the field or anything football-wise affect your overall emotion or your overall outlook on life, or, you know, just anything, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, for you went in to the portal at one point, you know, and University of Buffalo went through coaching staff change, and you experienced change over those 3 seasons. So, and the reason why you got 2 years of eligibility is if you play, for people that don't know this, if you play 4 games or less, you can redshirt, and that doesn't have to count. So, why did you go into the portal the first time around, and why did you come back to Buffalo?
So, my running back coach had left. He had went to Georgia Tech around that
And which
time.
one was this at the time?
His name is Mike Daniels, Coach Daniels. Yeah. So he was my running back coach my first year, and he had went to Georgia Tech. He had left and went to Georgia Tech. So, you know, just me, you know, not knowing, you know, how the transfer portal work, I was like, you know what, I this is a coach that I like.
Yeah.
So I want to leave with you, you know, or not even leave with you. I want to leave, you know. And then, you know, the only offer that I had, you know, coming out was UMass, and then Memphis, they wanted me to visit, but I was on vacation. I had went on a cruise ship. And I still say to this day, you know, if they would have seen me, if I would have visited, I probably would have got the offer, you know, it would have been, but they ended up picking up, it was a freshman of the year of the MAC who played at NIU that season. They ended up getting him. He had like 1,000 yards, that season. So it was understandable. And so I had hit up the OC back at that time. And I just told him, I just want to come back. I just, feel as though, it was a wrong decision. And I did at that time. I felt like it was a wrong decision to go in the portal.
Yeah.
I was young. I just made a bad decision. Luckily, they let me back in. And then that led into my 2022 season, which was my best season.
Yeah.
And the coach at that time, he left, Coach Knox. And right after that, I was going to leave also. And I was telling him, like, yeah, I'm thinking about leaving. So I was going to enter the portal again after that big season, 600-yard plus season. And they were telling me, listen, we think you could, be the guy next season. And we think you could do a lot for us next season. So, we want you to stay. So I ended up staying again. Right. So
yeah,
if you just look at everything, it's just like a lot of cycles. Because even going into the next season, which was this past season, I had ended up with 300 yards, 90 carries, 300 plus yards and 90 carries. And I was going to end up leaving because it's just the culture there. It was just very toxic. If I'm being honest with you, it was just a toxic culture. And I don't want to get too much into it, but I just felt like where I wanted to go, that it was going to, instead of boost me to go where I wanted to go, it just wasn't going to help me. So, I talked to my running back coach at the time, Coach Applewhite, and he was telling me, he was like, listen, I want you to stay, basically saying everything that the old coaches have said before.
Yeah.
And then he ended up leaving. So it was just like, you wanted me to stay. I said, okay, I'm going to stay because I believe in you and your vision for the program and me. And then you leave. So It's like, all right, now I'm just going to, end up leaving because I want to stay because you were staying. And then you leave without even really saying anything for real. It's all right, now I had to put myself first because all these coaches have been doing the same thing. So, and then the head coach had left also. So it's just like, all right, yeah, I just need something new.
Well, and the thing is, you had 3 running back coaches in 3 years.
Well,
You had more than that.
When I first came there, I had a coach, and then I had Mike Daniels, then I had Coach Knox, then I had Coach Applewhite. So that's 4.
So you had 4 because you had one initially.
Yeah. So I
before Daniels. Okay.
Yeah, I came there early, and I had that Coach Reed, that was his name, and then we had the new coach who came in. So that was my 5th running back coach. I didn't
5 running back coaches in 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really play under that 5th running back coach because I was skeptical about staying or leaving.
Yeah.
Which was like, these past few months, just skeptical about staying or leaving. And then I finally made the decision about 2 months ago that, all right, I'm just going to leave. So, 4 to 5 coaches.
You learned very early on that the business side of collegiate athletics.
Yeah. I just felt like I had to. Like everybody else, you see all these coaches, they'll tell you the world, like, I'm going to do this to you. I'm going to help you do this, help you do that. And they do it, but they leave out the side of, staying. They leave out the side of if they're going to stay or not, because it's like they play a selfish game. If I'm being honest with you, that's the best. A lot of these coaches, they play a selfish game when it comes to recruiting, because they recruit off of the benefit of themselves. And then when it comes to leaving, or like they got to provide for their families, so it's respectable. But at the end of the day, when it comes to being an athlete, you got to be able to differentiate the two. You got to be able to put yourself first also, at times.
So we've seen coaches essentially be in the transfer portal before the creation of the transfer portal. Mm-hmm. I've actually made this statement before, and the American Athletic Conference Commissioner at the time, Mike Oresco, said to me, he goes, I might have to steal this, as I said, well, we're talking about the transfer portal for student athletes, but the transfer portal has existed for head coaches, coaches in general, and institutions forever. Yeah. We've seen an entire institution jump in the transfer portal and switch conferences. We've seen coaches do it all the time. The business, to me, probably hit the most when I was at the American Athletic Conference Media Days at the time in Newport, Rhode Island at Goat Island, and there were 3 coaches standing in that room. And all of those coaches that season had each signed an extension, and they were all gone before December or January. So here's all these coaches going into the next season, and they had signed extensions with their teams, and each of them were gone. So, I mean, I saw how crazy it is to tell to be there in July and then tell a team, I got you. And September, October, November, they're there. They sign an extension in December to be there for the next 3, 4, 5 years, and they're gone within 2 weeks, within a month, not even a month. So, I mean, the transfer portal, there's a lot of knock on student athletes and saying that student athletes aren't dedicated to the institution. They're not dedicated to their education. They're not dedicated to the team. It's all about them. But what would be your response to that, having experienced so many coaches jump in the transfer portal, so to speak?
I mean, at the end of the day, when it comes to a student athlete, or anybody, you have to do what's best for you, and it sounds like it's a cocky statement, but like me, like I experienced 4 or 5 different running back coaches in a matter of 3 years. Like I have 2 more years of eligibility. Like that's to be a junior, and have 5 different running back coaches. Like that's a lot. Like there's like no way, gladly, fortunately I've been able to develop, but some people can't develop off of 4 or 5 different running back coaches and you only being in college for 2-3 years. Some people just can't develop off of that. So being able to like if you want to go to the league, you want to go to the NFL, doing everything in your power to get there, it may have to be with taking a leap of faith and leaving, and then on the coaching side, it's like, people would downplay these athletes and say, oh, you never was committed to us or blah, blah, blah. But, you look at, in my instance, I had a head coach who for the past 2 years, I heard, there was rumors that, he would be leaving, he would be taking these different jobs and all that. And, he would tell us that he's not leaving. He's here to stay. He signed a contract, so he's staying and, just had a kid, and, all these different factors to make you believe that he's going to stay. And then, you leave. And there's no shade to him because at the end of the day, it's a business. You got to do what's best for you, but like, nobody really, talks about that. They just talk about, athletes,
Well, and it's hard. It's hard. Like you said, it's hard to learn and develop. And what does it always come off on? It comes off on you, right? Yeah. Eric Dungy had 4 quarterback coaches in 4 years, I think, something like that. And so, but whenever they were critiquing his game, I never heard anybody say, well, this is Eric's game and he slumped in his sophomore season because he switched coaches. Oh, he slumped here because he changed offenses. You don't hear that. Blake Bortles had 3 quarterback coaches in 3 years in the NFL. Yeah. And you don't hear people making an excuse for Blake Bortles. So I think the thing is in the background for you professionally or collegiately, if your coaching staff continues to change, I think when people know the backstory of that and know that you had 5 running back coaches in 3 seasons, that it makes perfect sense why a Mike Washington Jr. wants to go somewhere else and to have some consistency so that you can grow, so that you can develop, and so you can really showcase yourself in the NFL. Because at the end of the day, if you didn't make it in the NFL, no one, I'm going to say it, but how many people are going to say, well, he had 5 coaches in 3 years, and maybe that worked against him? 99.9% of the time, they never talk about the coaching changes that affected a player. They only talk about, wow, that player went up, then they went down, then they went back up, then they went down again. I mean, Garrett Schrader went through it, Eric Dungy went. I mean, there's guys that go through these things, and I think you telling the story of that allows people to see, instead of just looking at your stats going, well, how did he go from 150 carries to 90 carries? Well, how come he went from this many games to that many games? Why did he go from 600 to 300? When they look at shifts in coaching staff, when they look at toxicity, when they look at the lack of stability and different running back coaches wanting different things, and every running back coach has their guy. And normally when a running back coach comes in, or any coach comes in, they want to play their recruits over the guys that are there. That can change the story of Mike Washington Jr. instead of simply saying, well, he has less yards. I think that's fair.
Yeah. I mean, regardless, I don't really get into the the critic stuff and look into all of that, because it's just really just eyes behind the screen.
Yeah.
And that's how I look at it. Sometimes I really just try to to be within myself and, like I said, understand my ability and what I can do and display that on the field.
Yeah, and my thing is, regardless, like you said, of what anybody says, wake up call to me is all about not setting the record straight the 10th time, but telling people the first time, like, yeah, Mike's in the portal. Mike was in the portal before. He's in the portal again. But understand why he thought about it. This isn't just Mike Washington Jr. going, I want NIL money. I want this. I want that. I'm all about me. I'm flashy. It's about you saying, for my future, I need stability. I need good culture. I need a good environment where I can grow. Plants don't grow without water and sun. So Mike Washington Jr., in my opinion, what you're saying to me sitting here in the Heritage Hill Studios on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora this morning is that you're saying to me, you're a plant that felt like you needed to go to a place that had a little more sunlight and a little more water.
Yeah.
Why New Mexico State?
It was really just an opportunity I felt like I couldn't pass up. Really an on the field opportunity I feel like I couldn't pass up. This is a team that they went 7-1 in their conference. They had
and 10-5 overall too.
Yeah, 10-5 overall. They had lost 3 of their running backs, 3 of their main guys who really helped the team out when it came to switching up the flow of the game. You had, I believe, 3 running backs of 3 different heights, 3 different weights. So that could really hurt a defense. Just when you're talking about a running back and the skill that they have. But talking to the running back coach there, Coach Cobb, he told me, he was like, we need somebody who could carry the load, 15 to 20 carries a game, and we feel as though that you can be that guy. They lost 3 running backs. They need somebody to fill that, and we think that you could be that guy. And then really just, going through the official visit that I had a couple weeks ago, going there, it just felt like, I could play there. It felt like, just walking on that field, I imagine myself scoring, 50, 70-yard touchdown, like back in the high school days. Like, it's just, I imagine myself being there, and that was my biggest thing, being able to walk around campus and you look like, okay, I could see myself going to class. I could see myself staying here. Like, I could see all those things. So those things really played a factor in my decision and, basically really committing on the spot when I talked to, Coach Tony Sanchez, who's the head coach there.
And like you said, I mean, you can envision it. You can see it. It looks like an opportunity that you can play. You can get out there and get on the field. And obviously you have to do your work. After hearing so many coaches say different things, and some told the truth and some didn't, what makes you believe that the coaching staff at New Mexico State is telling the truth?
So in situations like this is really betting on yourself.
Yeah.
And trusting in God's plan. And all week for the past, week. So it was weird. So I had a lot of people don't know this. I had verbally committed to UMass on a Friday night. I called the coach. I was like, yeah, I just got to get some things situated with my agent, and I'll be, I'm good to go. He's like, all right, we got you locked in, blah blah blah. We locked in. I told him, I was like, I'm 100%, we good. The night after that, New Mexico State, the running back coach, he had texted me. So it was like everything was just like literally out of nowhere. So that Friday or that Saturday, he had texted me. He was like, hey, I like your film. I want to get a chance to get you on a call. Gave him my number. We FaceTime. He explained everything that was happening with the running backs leaving.
Yeah.
Said how he wanted me. Said if we could get me on the visit. We talked Saturday, Sunday, Monday. By Tuesday, I was out there. He flew me and my parents out there.
Talking about David Cobb?
Yeah. Flew me and my parents out there. That whole week, I asked God. I'm very religious, so I prayed. I asked God, just to give me discernment, and I have faith in your plan for me, because this is not anything that's of me. Like everything is because of you. So I'm asking you and I'm coming to you for discernment for me to make the right decision that's right for the plan that you have for me.
Yeah.
And it was just in my heart. It was literally just in my heart. Like I sat in a room with the head coach and we talked about everything. This is after the whole visit. We talked, me and the head coach, we talked, and he just said everything that I can do for him, and everything that he can do for me. And then the same thing with Coach Cobb. He had a whole PowerPoint of, my best plays and, some of my bad plays and how he can help me, within those bad plays of, the mistakes that I made, and said how I could be that guy. Talked with the head coach, said the same thing. And it just felt like it was just in my heart to just, it may be thousands of miles away, but, I'm okay with taking that leap of faith because, I prayed on it, and I just know it was just in my heart to commit on the spot.
Well, I think if Jesus can walk as many miles as he walked in the sand with no car, no plane, no train, then I think you going to another part of the country based on your faith is not too much to ask.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Your faith, and you and I connect on this, and I don't hide my faith with anything I do. It's at the core of who I am. I would not have my company if I didn't have faith in God. I would not be sitting with you. I wouldn't have chased any of my dreams if I didn't have my faith in God. So your faith, just how it's grown since the last time we sat together, just what you can say about your faith in God, your faith in yourself, and just how you've grown as a person since the last time you sat in the studio here. I
mean, Jesus is king, and I would always look at it that way. I wear my piece. I wear it every day. I don't take this off at all, because I just know, like, he's my Lord, he's my Savior. And my faith is my confidence, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
My faith is my confidence, and I would say the difference between who I was before and who I am now is, I wouldn't say I give all my worries, all my problems to Jesus, to Christ. Like that's just what I do, and it could come off as a I don't care type of vibe, but it's really just, what?
It's a peace.
Yeah, this is what God has planned for me. This is what he has planned for me. Yep. Regardless of what decision that I make, he already knows the outcome. He's going to guide me through that way, every time I ask for it.
For people that wonder what sits here every show, it's a picture of Jesus Christ himself. And this picture sits here as a reminder. So if you catch me looking at it or if you see it over my shoulder, and it's very simple. It's John 14:6 on the back. I am the way, the truth, and the life. And if you believe that Jesus will show you the way, tell you the truth, and give you the life that you're praying upon, that helps you make the decisions that you're making. So New Mexico State, we look at this with Mike Washington Jr., we look at the schedule, and your non-conference is going to be Southeast Missouri. It's the first game. Then you're also going to have a non-conference on the road at Fresno State. You'll have a non-conference against New Mexico, nice rivalry, New Mexico State. And then at Texas A&M, SEC team later on in the season, the rest of its conference. Have you taken a look at the schedule? Have you taken a look at the fact of some places you're going to be? You're going to be traveling to Florida a couple times for Jacksonville State, FIU. You'll be going to Tennessee. You'll be going to Texas to face off against the Aggies versus the Aggies, New Mexico State versus Texas A&M. We're gonna see you as well head on the road to some other places here that'll take you to Sam Houston, take you to Fresno, as I mentioned. So, what are your thoughts on the schedule? Have you circled anything? Have you looked at anything of where you're going to be?
Yeah, I look at the schedule almost every day. Okay. Really just to put myself in a mindset of who I'm going to be playing and, my opponents. I'm ready. I'm ready for the season. I'm ready to get working with the team. We start June 1st. And, I really, once I touch down New Mexico State, it's really just, taking everything step by step. I can't look at, the A&M game. It's definitely on a schedule, but at first we gotta take care of Southeastern Missouri, and then after that we gotta take care of Liberty, and then Fresno, and then Sam Houston. So it's a step by step process that I'm beginning to take note of and really take it one day at a time, and eventually one game at a time.
And we look at I do want to go, when we go back in time here, I want to go to CNS.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously you coming from Utica and then coming over to CNS and playing for Cicero-North Syracuse, the Northstars coming into our community, and where we met Coach Klein, not the head coach anymore, Dave Klein.
Mm-hmm.
What can you say about Coach Klein and his staff, the positive things you take away?
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I spoke with him, he talked about wanting to get the guys out there, wanting to help the guys, get the film out, do what you can. I mean, the facilities here in central and upstate New York have been really great and arguably the best for a while at CNS. When we talk about going to the stadium and experiencing the stadium and all of that. So when you look back at your time with Coach Klein, you look at the coaching staff, what they tried to do for you, how they wanted to get you out there and promote you, see you be successful. I know how much he loves his guys. So what can you say about Coach Klein?
Well, Coach Klein, I would say the whole coaching staff, they're the coaching staff, where if they have to see that you are putting in work to help you. So if they're seeing that you're slacking off, yeah, they're gonna help you, but it's completely different to when they're seeing that you actually want to better yourself. You know what I mean? And that was something that I felt they seen. Same thing with Pete Moore. I felt like, okay, he wants to invest in himself. I'm gonna put that extra to help him. And I'm not saying that nobody did extra or anything like that. My work had spoke for itself when it came to the on the field accolades that I was able to get. But the coaching staff that with Dave Klein, they're really supportive, super supportive. Even when I had went in the transfer portal, they reached out to a bunch of coaches as if I was, still in high school.
Yeah.
So it's a family like, feeling when it comes to them. I know I could count or, call up Coach Klein, any day, and he'll, okay, I'm willing to help you. Same thing with Coach Gates. I know I could call him up any day, and he'll, okay, I'm willing to help you. So, and that just speaks to, who they are as people. It's more than football, with them. And I feel like that a lot of people don't really know that, when it comes to, those coaches. But, those they're great coaches. They're great coaches.
Jim Ryan's new head coach.
Mm-hmm.
Have you met him? Do you want to kind of see what he's all about and be a part of the future of CNS North Stars football?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm a alum, so I'm gonna definitely have to come back. I actually plan on going there this week just to visit Pete Moore, but if I'm hoping I see him. I don't know his schedule or whatever, but I definitely want to see him, at least before I leave, because once I leave, I probably won't be back until December, January. So
yeah, and for you mentioned Pete Moore. And what can you say about his importance in your life? I mean, strength and conditioning, we know that he knows what he's doing, regardless of sport. He has helped so many people over so many sports, so many student athletes. He has a strong faith in God as well. He has been wonderful in my life. He's always made time for me. Always, if we haven't talked in a while, he'll reach out to you like, he's still got that love for you. He wants you to know that.
Yeah.
So what does Pete Moore mean to you?
He means a lot. I mean, he's more than just a trainer to me. He's my mentor. There's been plenty of times where I was at college and I was just, going through some stuff, and, I had called him, and he's like, why are you thinking that way? Just quickly snapped me back in reality. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
He's one of those guys where, if I'm ever feeling like I can't do something, he reminds me, yes you can. Like, you shouldn't be thinking like that. You need to change the way you're thinking, because that's not you. And he's just always been that guy outside of, working out. I've actually built a relationship, with Pete. So I know the type of person that he is, and he's a really good person. He's also a guy that I could call up and anything he'd be on it. I talk to him almost every other week. We talk a lot. He's, like I said, he's my mentor, and he definitely somebody who has helped me a lot. Introduced me to he didn't introduce me into strength training, but he taught me on how the body works and what I should be eating, like things of that nature. He really, put me on to a lot of things when it came to that.
Pete Moore, huge words. Coach Ryan, you'll see him soon. Mike Washington Jr., Coach Klein and the staff, Coach Gates, appreciate and love to them all as always. Before we hop out of here, inside of the Heritage Hill Studios, Heritage Hill is our exclusive studio partner. They are also the home of our CNS broadcast. So if you want to see the Mike Washington Juniors of the future, so to speak, those wonderful student athletes, whatever the sport may be, for Heritage Hill North on 628 South Main Street, North Syracuse, right down the road from CNS High School. We are there with the Northstars every single month, exclusively at Heritage Hill North. And of course, Heritage Hill North and Heritage Hill Brewhouse out in Pompey are exclusive studio partners. And we thank Dan Palladino and the team that comprises Heritage Hill Brewhouse and Heritage Hill North for all that you do. And obviously, big time shout out to CNS. I've been trying for years to find us a true home, and I'm happy that we got a home, and love the stuff that we got to do at Chick-fil-A Cicero in the past as well. Mm-hmm. We're going to play Rapid Fire. Mike and I have played it a bunch of times, so we got a couple apiece. You get to start.
This is questions, right?
Yeah, anything in the world.
What is your dream vacation spot, I would say?
Italy and Spain.
Okay.
I want to see my family.
Okay.
So I want to go. I've talked to my family in Spain. They watched the show, so shout out to my family, the Caracos that are out there, and big time shout out to family in Italy as well. We haven't connected with the family in Italy yet, so I would like to do that. And I want to go see my family. I just want to see where I'm from. Mm-hmm. I want to be with them. I want to celebrate. And I know that God works in very purposeful ways. Mm-hmm. And I know that those moments will happen how they're supposed to happen. And, I'm sure I'll cry some happy tears about that. Mm-hmm. There's something about getting family together and feeling the real. So I look forward to that.
That's dope.
All right, Mike, let's see here. If you and I were going to go on a comedy tour, and I like to tell jokes, I like to mess around. So if we're going to go on a comedy tour and it's my tour, and you're on the bus with me, you can pick 3 comedians that are going to come on tour with me. Who comes on tour with you and I, and we're on the bus with them every day.
Mike Epps, he's considered a comedian, right?
Yeah.
So I definitely would say him. Kevin Hart for sure. And
people forget about Mike Epps in The Hangover.
Yeah.
Okay, when he was
that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that's when he has the whole Mr. Chow that scene and all that stuff. Yeah.
And then who else would I put? You said 3, right?
Yeah.
So Mike Epps, Kevin Hart, and
I say that to my buddy Isaac all the time. I'm like, I'll be you, Doug. So Mike Epps, Kevin Hart. One more.
I can't think of a third. Really, I can't think of his name. He played in dang. I can't think of his name. I have to go with 2 right.
Chappelle?
Right. No, not Dave Chappelle.
Not Chappelle. Okay.
I can't think of his name.
What was he in?
The movie that he was in was with Will Smith.
Martin Lawrence?
Martin, yeah. I'll definitely say him.
Martin, the one that only knows a few words of Bad Boys, what you gonna do? Every single one, he goes, you hear him go, on in the something's a, because he doesn't know the words. There's a new one coming out.
Yeah, that's being made. Yeah.
Yeah, so
definitely have to take a look at that.
Yeah, excited to see Martin Lawrence back on the big screen again.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what's your next question for me?
If you can meet anybody in the athletic world, women and men's sports, what would be your top 5 people to meet? If you just want to sit in a room with all 5 of them and just talk.
So I'm going to pick people I've never met before.
Okay.
I'm going to go women's side first.
Okay.
I'm going to pick 5 on each.
Okay.
So I'm going to pick Caitlin Clark.
For sure.
Without doubt. I'm going to pick Brianna Stewart because I was home when she was finishing up and we never got to talk.
Mm-hmm.
And like, my bad. I could have pushed, I guess, for it when she was still playing at CNS and sectionals and stuff, but we haven't gotten to talk yet, so I hope we get to soon. So Caitlin Clark, Brianna Stewart, Robin Roberts from ESPN. I want to talk to her, the broadcaster. So I want to definitely speak with her. She was actually in Pitch Perfect, and she's been through cancer, came through it. So I want to talk with Robin Roberts. I want to talk with Brianna Stewart, Caitlin Clark. 2 other women I haven't spoken to yet. I would say probably Mia Hamm from her time with the U.S. national team for soccer. And one more. It's tough. I would... Dawn Staley. Without doubt. I want to talk to Coach Staley.
Okay.
So, and find out why she is who she is, because she's got a huge belief in God. And she shares it all the time. She actually said, if you don't believe in God, I think there's something wrong with you. I mean, she said that publicly. So, and in this world, it's so like anti-God publicly at times that to hear somebody be so like, I believe in God to the point where I think it's weird that you don't. So I want to talk to Coach. So yeah, I mean, that would be my 5. And then my 5 men in the sports world that I haven't talked to yet. Fred Taylor. Big reason why I like the Jaguars. I want to talk to Fred. I would say Larry Fitzgerald, just because he seems like he's got a really incredible mind, and I just want to like have. I want to have. He doesn't even have a view. I just want to talk to him about life.
Yeah.
I want to talk to him about how he sees things. So Larry Fitzgerald, Fred Taylor. Probably. Oh man, there's so many. Randy Johnson, my favorite pitcher of all time. Luis Gonzalez from that same Arizona Diamondback team, because his hit is how they won. So I'd want to talk to him about being under pressure like that and coming through with it. And then one more. So Fred Taylor, Randy Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald, Luis Gonzalez, and one more sports male that I haven't spoken with yet. There's a bunch, but I want to go like off the beat, not even off the beaten path, but like more personal. Because, I mean, Jordan's on my mind, but probably there's so many. I think that I would pick, I mean, I've gotten to talk with Damon Stoudemire, which was a blessing of a lifetime from God. 30 years in the making. So it's almost 30 years, 29 years in the making. So if I had to pick one more, I would pick Barry Sanders.
Okay.
I'd probably pick Barry Sanders.
Okay.
Definitely want to talk with Barry.
Definitely, I like that list.
So, yeah, those would be my list. I've never been asked that question before.
Yeah.
Good question. All right, Mike, let's see here. If you could have dinner with any 3 people, living or dead or both, what 3 people of any, doesn't have to be sports, could be anything, what 3 people would you eat with and why? Set the table for us.
I would say that's a great question. That's a really great question.
Thank you.
Kobe Bryant.
Okay.
Kobe Bryant, really, because of his mentality and just the psychology part of flipping your mindset and doing it on the spot.
Yeah.
Through just a lot of stuff, through anything, outside of, football, outside of, basketball, the sport that he played. Just really being able to just switch your mindset on the spot. That's a gift I feel like everybody should have, and I would definitely want to tap into that and talk to him about that. Who else? I say my grandfather. On my grandfather, my dad's side, he had passed away 2015, I believe.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
What's his first name?
Huh?
What's his first name?
David Walker.
David Walker.
David Walker. Yeah. Or his last name was Walker. I can't remember his first name for some reason. I was super young, but the only memory I had was him asking me if I wanted to go fishing on a boat. And it would be like the first time I ever went fishing, and I never got the chance to because he had passed. Rest in peace. But I just really would just, I don't know. I just feel like we would connect. We would really connect. Like, well, just him knowing I play football and just wanting to have a relationship with him. I feel like, I think about that a lot. My loved ones, be able to have a relationship with them, what they would think, and just the relationship I would have with them. So definitely him. And then you said 3, right? Mm-hmm. Last one would be, probably USC running back who had his name Reggie Bush.
Yeah.
I would definitely want to talk to him. Just like on everything when it came to the Heisman and just what he did and just his philosophy on football. Okay. I definitely would want to talk to him on that.
And returning the Heisman to him.
Yeah, right. Getting the Heisman back.
Mike Washington Jr., your New Mexico State Aggies new running back with a couple seasons of eligibility left inside of Conference USA, CNS alum, and here inside of the Heritage Hill studios, all too fitting with Heritage Hill and I bringing you CNS every single month. So for Mike Washington, for the Heritage Hill studios, for myself, Dan Tortora, for the New Mexico Aggies of New Mexico State, we appreciate you for tuning in to the broadcast. Find us on Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, X at CallDT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. YouTube all the time on youtube.com/WakeUpCallDT. Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com for worldwide internet streaming radio. Mr. Washington, appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you too.
God bless you as always.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And by the way, folks, years ago, I reached out to you and wanted to make it a point that you knew you matter. You're important. It's something I care about the student athletes anywhere and everywhere in my hometown of Central and Upstate New York. I told you I'd be there for you. I told you, I want to see how you're doing. I want to stay connected no matter where you went to school. Mm-hmm. And I have continued to reach out over the years, and you've continued to reach back. And you don't want to do a simple phone call. You don't want to do Zoom. You always, for years now, have offered to come back and sit in the studio and to be here with me physically in the same place. And they don't make everybody like they make you, Mike. And to me, I really just appreciate how personal it's been, how good of a relationship we have, and how you have been very devout to keeping that relationship going and spending some time with me. And I know that time is the one gift you can't get back. So thank you, man. Appreciate you. Love you, bro.
Love you too.
So come see Mike Washington Jr. on the road and out New Mexico. You know that Wake Up Call will be covering his career as we've continued to do from back in the CNS days. Yes, and sir. I cannot wait to be saying 1,000-yard back Mike Washington Jr.
Yes, sir.
NFL prospect Mike Washington Jr.
Yes, sir.
God is good, and God is always on time. Thank you, man. Yes, I appreciate you.
Indeed.
We'll talk with you all soon.